Here we go. What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. That's right. It's Tuesday night. It's when we get together and talk about football, and we always talk about the Carolina Panthers from the fan perspective, and I always do it with my brother from another mother. That's right, Joe Riolano. That freaking Puerto Rican, what is up?
What is going on, Tony? It is my favorite night of the week, Tuesday night, and it is the C3 Podcast, baby. We are here bringing it to you live and in full effect. We are 9-0 with nothing but W's. It's looking like in the future. It is so great to be here to talk about this team. I'm so amped. Let's get this show rolling.
Word up. Thank you, everyone, for joining the C3 Podcast. It's episode 15.42. That's right, 42 episodes this season. And tonight's show is this: Panthers, dab on them, folks, 9 straight times. These guys are rolling, Joe, and we're going to talk a lot about it. Tonight's broadcast, though, is brought to you by PSL Source, a fan-to-fan marketplace to buy and sell NFL seat licenses. Go to PSLSource.com. It's an owned and operated business in Charlotte. They've got 10 years of experience. And I can tell you this, Joey, one of our good friends, Shane Barbie, when I tweeted this out one day, he said, hey, that's who I got my PSLs from. He said they're great guys,
nice.
So go check them out.
Nice.
So we're going to go ahead and jump into the show because that's what we do. And tonight we're going to start with, I guess if I can see this, is Joe, where is Mel tonight, by the way?
Mel is out in Los Angeles. He is with the City of Angels tonight, having a nice dinner and drinking some rusty nails, from what I understand, with rusty nails.
Okay.
Right. So he's enjoying himself while we're here slaving away.
Yeah, that's right.
They say if you do if your work is something you love, you feel like you never worked a day in your life, and that's exactly what we have going on this season.
Amen, brother. Tonight we've got a great show. We're going to be talking about breaking it down from the Tennessee Titans game. We're going to be looking ahead to the Washington Redskins match. We'll talk about all the non-controversies that will make huge on this show tonight for you. Also, we've got a special guest tonight, Joe. Louie Tee from the Louie Tee Network. Dapper Dan, as he is going to be joining us about 10:30 to talk about his skins. Louie Tee is full of football knowledge. I know that you guys will love him. All right, well, let's jump into and talk about what's hot on C3.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3, folks, tonight? Nothing's hotter than the 9-0 start. Dabbing on them bros, guys. The Panthers go into the Tennessee Titans house. It's not much of a house when we take it over and make it ours. And this game, Joe, there's only one, there is one main storyline. And not only are we 9-0, but Cam starts out 11 for 11, just on top of things, owning and controlling this offense, taking over this team. Great leadership, Joey. How great was the performance against the Tennessee Titans, specifically with Cam Newton leading the show?
I think this was one of Cam's best games as a quarterback. It seemed for some reason that they were trying to feature him more in the pocket because we didn't really see him try to run. He had pretty good protection for the first half anyway, and he was looking for his receivers, going through his progression. So I think they were really trying to quell some of that talk about, oh, look at his stats, he's not a real quarterback, he's just a football player or whatever. But if given the opportunity and deemed necessary, he showed what he's capable of in the pocket.
You know, I want to go ahead and argue that this was Cam's best game as a pure quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I hate to use those terms because I think Pam Newton, she is in love with Cam Newton.
Yes, she is.
Cam Newton, though, I think is redefining what quarterbacks look like, can be like, and should act like. But I do think that we saw how dangerous he could be if he can elevate the accuracy, Joey, of if he can elevate it and he can throw over 60%, like career average at the end, he's unstoppable. Unstoppable. What do you see?
He would
what
be
you see out of him that was different?
To me, it was just his pocket presence. He was just hanging in there. He never looked to take off. You know, he was determined to let a receiver get open. He had the time, and he let the guys run their routes. And honestly, Greg Olsen was wide open for much of the game.
Wow.
He was able.
Did they not realize that he is the best
Cam's
option?
favorite target? Yeah, and that's what I didn't understand. I was like, they're not in any way trying to slow him down. They weren't checking him at the line. They weren't doing anything to impede him getting into his route. And if you allow him to get a clean break, you can't stop him. He's almost unstoppable. And Cam realized that and knew he went to him early and he went to him often. And I think that was just fantastic to see Cam be able to put on a passing performance like he did.
So the Panthers, they go to the Titans' house. The Titans take the ball on the first possession. The defense comes out and just forces a 3-and-out. The Twitter conversation tonight is great. I am just reading all night long. I love this when Mel Mayock isn't on the podcast. That made Mel's night. So the defense comes out and forces a 3-and-out, Joey. It looks like, man, these guys are going to be lasered in. Cam Newton comes out, leads them down for a touchdown that ends with, I believe the Jonathan Stewart run was the first touchdown. Great run. But my question is, what happened to the defense, Joe? All of a sudden, they get into a funk, it seems like, after that 3-and-out, and they really had trouble stopping on third down. I felt like there was some penalties. Things were out of sync. Again, the Panthers do what they've done all season, and that is when one side of the ball isn't playing their best game, the other side carries the water. And that's something that we have not, I've said this week in and week out, that we have not done in the past. Joey, what happened with the defense after that series? Why was Mariota able to convert, I think, 7 first downs in the first half?
Well, much like the Titans defense, the Panthers failed to do anything to impede Delaney Walker. He was Mariota's favorite target, and he was finding holes in the coverage and just sitting there waiting for Mariota to get him the ball. The offensive line was doing a fair job of keeping Mariota from feeling pressure. The pressure was there, but the offensive line did a real good job of redirecting it most of the time behind Mariota so he could step up in the pocket. And he fired it to the tight end a bunch. So I think that's really where they were having trouble was locating the tight end. And the speed of, God, I can't think of his name, played at Kansas City, but came over to the Titans.
Oh, Dexter McCluster, the guy.
Yeah, McCluster.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, his speed.
That was a
really
terrible play. That was a terrible play where he ran right, and Roman Harper missed the tackle. I'm going to forgive Roman Harper on all. Roman Harper has played exceptional this year. He's really done a great job, and you know what? Him one-on-one with Dexter McCluster, come on, that's not even fair. At his age, maybe 10 years. So that was a whole breakdown on the entire defense, and I think Roman Harper just was the kind of whipping boy of the play because he was right there whiffing.
Right.
But we had trouble early. We had trouble stopping the run, I felt like, in the beginning phase. Then we shut it down in the second half. Joe, what I said, and I tweeted is, man, the Titans are running the Panthers offense. In the first half, they were running the Panthers offense. They were going back. They were throwing to the tight end, a lot of space over the middle, it felt like, a lot of room. Thomas Davis with his first game since his rookie year with no tackles. Strange.
Wow.
Really strange. So I'm looking at this. They're going to the tight end. They're going down the seam. It looks like what the Panthers try to do. They're running the ball. And Mariota was not on a bunch of design runs, but he was picking his spots and going and converted a big third down. But they could only do so much. Then, Joey, the half is winding down. The Carolina Panthers offense has slowed somewhat by this point. And then we get a kickoff, a punt return to the house. Ted Ginn, who was on fire in this game, I felt, at least from a punt return standpoint, takes it to the house. And then our boy, Joe Webb. What did you think about that? Did you see how furious Ted Ginn was? Ted Ginn was pissed.
Yeah, he was, and I think rightfully so. First of all, I think the refs made the right call. By the book, it was an illegal block.
Would you have called it?
If I was a referee, probably not, because it had no real bearing on the play. But I remember we were in Tennessee, and, it's maybe a little home cooking going on. But it was the right call. It just it did not make any difference if Joe Webb would have let that guy go. He wouldn't have made a play again. And that's what was so frustrating, is that it was a stupid penalty because you didn't have to touch the guy. You were so far away from the play. That's what is so frustrating about it. Just bonehead play.
You know what I hate about the block in the back, though, is that this area right here, when you're running, is so close to being in the – I feel like Joe barely touched him.
He did.
And then on top of it, it was kind of like almost like a back into the side block.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just a full-on like –
right.
Guy goes flying like this on his stomach,
Right.
So, that's...
He did flop a little. He
fell, but, the speed and stuff, but it wasn't like you ran up some on him behind him direct. That's what I'm just saying. And when you're so fast, I kind of, I understand how at the speed and you just messed up a little bit, and you're like, damn it. So then this is what happens. Ted Ginn, Legacy Lions, stomps off the field. She tweets in, slams his head down.
His helmet.
His head. I slammed my head again. I slammed my head down. That's what I did. So we get a minute left, Joey. You know what? I don't think the offense had stalled at that point because Cam Newton was like 11 for 12 or some crap like that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
We go into a minute left. Your quarterback is on fire. Joey, why does this team refuse to try to sneak out 3 points before the half?
That's I wish I could tell you.
T Money has a theory. I haven't seen him on tonight. He's probably hanging with some other kids tonight. But my T Money tweeted, he said we lost momentum with that penalty. I have a hard time.
I really want to hear what theory is on this. I guess just trying to take advantage of every opportunity. Maybe thinking ahead to the future, if it comes down to who gets first place, or first seed in the conference, maybe it'll come down to points, so you want to maximize your points. Does it
do that? I don't think it's points.
I'm talking like tiebreakers. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of reasons they would have done it. What was T Money's
No, T Money is saying this is because the penalty negated the Ted Ginn punt return, that the momentum shifted from the Panthers to the Titans.
Back to Tennessee.
So there they decided to just run the ball, run out the last minute of the clock, and walk into halftime up. My thing is you need to be practicing these scenarios. You need to be practicing these at every moment. You know what? Screw it. Your Cam Newton was dialed in. It's not like he's going to throw a pick six right there. And if that's what you're worried about, you're playing scared. I think we put the foot on the gas. Sure, you're on like the 30-yard line. Why don't you try to set up and go for a field goal? We all know what it feels like when you get the ball with a minute in the Super Bowl and someone marches down and kicks a field goal. So why can't we be that team? Why can't we be that team?
I think you make a point. I think to be able to practice those situations in a game versus in practice makes a tremendous difference. And the more opportunities you get to practice that kind of thing, the better it'll suit you later in the year. So I think you make a really good point there, Tony.
When you saw what happened in the second half, how did the defense comes out and shuts them down? Panthers struggled on offense, I felt like, in the beginning of the second half, at least through the third quarter. A lot of punts. Kind of got it together late in the fourth quarter. Joey, how did the defense – does that speak to you? What do you think about Sean McDermott and what they were able to adjust and do it in the second half?
At halftime? I think he does well adjusting and realizing what the other team has done to negate some of their ability, whether it be pass rush or in coverage. And he adjusted well to prepare the defense a different method of attack, and it seemed to work in the second half. They were getting to the quarterback, making him feel uncomfortable back there in the pocket. It seemed that they finally put somebody on Delaney Walker and made him go elsewhere, and when he doesn't have that quick release option, and you're getting to you're putting pressure on them, that's when bad decisions start to get made.
Kurt Coleman, I saw, who again had a pick.
What a great play. What a great play he made on that INT. The receiver gave up But he didn't give up. He kept playing and ran and got the ball. I thought that was a fantastic play, just an effort play, and that's what you need from guys like him.
Do you know he's played every snap on defense but one this season?
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
I saw something crazy like that on Black and Blue. They do the snap count. All right, so the defense got things together. Coney Ealy surging, I feel like. I think we're seeing a matured Coney Ealy. Is he dominating? No, not even close. But I feel like he's playing smart football. And where I see this, and I haven't watched enough football in my life yet to really appreciate all the nuances of the game. But the pass rusher has to hold a firm line or walk this delicate line between putting on the gas and holding the edge. Mm-hmm. And I feel that Coney Ealy is starting to get a better instinct for that, to where you can see him laying up a bit at times instead of just going at the quarterback and compensating for the run game. And they have moved him around a lot. If you've seen over the last 2 weeks, he's played defensive tackle or inside, I guess you would say. Yeah, he's played defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Really nice to see him. What do you think about what you've seen out of Coney Ealy so far this season?
I really think he has matured a lot. You know, he was in Ron's doghouse, so to speak, last season, I believe. And he really has shown some real good maturation, as well as he's developed, like you said, kind of an understanding of when he needs to go full bore at the quarterback and when he needs to be a little more patient and aware of what's going on. And you can see the difference, like Jared Allen and Coney Ealy. When Jared Allen's in, he's got one purpose: go get the quarterback. That's the sole purpose he has. When Coney Ealy's in, he, like you mentioned, he's able to play several positions, line up at either end or either tackle. And he knows his role, which is, you know, get pressure to the quarterback, but first of all, make sure they're not running the ball to your end. You know, you got to keep that containment. And that's something you didn't see from him for the first couple of years. But now he's really been one of those guys Ron Rivera talks about doing the dirty work.
Right. In fact, Carolina Abby just tweeted in, and by the way, congratulations, Abby, or those sweet Bose headphones that we all know that everybody wish were Beats, really. I'm sure the Bose actually sell better, but Carolina Abby, our great friend Abby, and one of the main players in this Panthers girl gang that has taken over, won a pair of Bose headphones from the Carolina Panthers organization today. So well done, Abby. Way to represent.
Nice.
I'm sure that the C3 podcast will be crystal clear straight through those headphones. Yeah, Coney Ealy, and I've been forgiving of him. Oh, but what I was going to say is that she tweeted in, according to Rivera, Coney is doing a lot more than what Panther fans see.
Right.
And I think we get consumed with the stat line of sack, and pressure. Is he's really come up with some big plays. I think he showed hustle. I think he showed versatility. So I like that. I'm trying to think. Oh, I wanted to say this is Joan sent me a message earlier tonight that said, another member of the leader in that girl gang, Joan said we need to put a dab on them section, dab on them folks segment into the show. And I think I'm going to do it right now. I want you, Joey, and while I tell you mine, to pick a player or a play that stood out in your mind. I think you've already singled one out, and we'll call it the dab on them folk play of the week. The dab on him folk play of the week for me was the Shaq Thompson hits on special teams where he just rolled that dude up and blasted him to the ground. Oh, man, we didn't hear a lot of Shaq's name in this game other than that play. But, Joey, do you have a dab on him folk play of the week?
Oh, yeah. You said it. The one I mentioned earlier by Kirk Coleman. I think that just, to me, that speaks volumes. That just tells you about this defense in general. They don't give up. They play and they play and they play. And when the receiver had quit on the route, thinking the ball was going to go out of bounds, Coleman kept moving, kept hustling toward the ball, and was able to get there and pick it off and get one knee down, because one knee equals 2 feet, and get it down before going out of bounds, which is a fantastic play and really helped. I don't think the Panthers got any points off of it, but they were able to use more of the clock and speed the game along.
So to both Kirk Coleman, Shaq Thompson from the C3 crew, we tell you, dab on them, folks.
Dab on them, folks.
Joe, I got another interesting question, and we got Louie Tee from the Louie Tee Network coming on shortly. We've got so much still to talk about. I don't know how we try to just keep this show to an hour. One of the things we got an email from our buddy Soren Peterson in Denmark, and he says, oh boy, it's great to be a Carolina Panthers fan right now. Every Monday for 9 weeks now, you wake up with a big smile on your face. Just amazing. This week, I'd like to hear your opinion on rookie Shaq Thompson. I like his versatility, but it's hard to figure how he's performed so far because he doesn't get a lot of attention, neither good nor bad. So my question is, what is your impression of Shaq Thompson's rookie campaign, and has he played like a first-round pick, Joey?
My impression so far has been one of, I think he is meeting realistic expectations. I don't think he's meeting the expectations the Panthers had as a fan base because of how well Kelvin Benjamin did last year as a rookie. I think it's unfair to have those same expectations for Funchess. But here in the last few games, he's starting to come out of his shell a bit.
You mean Shaq Thompson, not Funchess?
I'm sorry, yes. Thank you. Shaq Thompson. Yes, he is starting to you got to remember, he missed some of the training camp session because he was at school finishing up the semester.
And he had a hamstring injury, too.
Right. So he was slow getting into the thick of things, if you will. But we are, I guess, where he's at now is to be expected, considering what he's had to overcome as a rookie. I think we'll see a lot more from him as we get deeper into the season. And it's tough. He's a rookie when you got Kuechly, Thomas Davis, and our boy number 56, who's really been playing well, too.
A.J. Klein?
Yeah, Klein in this game looked really, really good.
Well, Klein always looks good when he gets to play on running downs. That's right. The thing, is that when you leave Klein out there all the time, then you see where he is okay. And is not that great in pass coverage. And not that he's bad. It's just that he's not exceptional. He's really good against the run.
Very good.
To me, my thoughts on Shaq Thompson are this, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Joe, when it comes to expectations created by a fan base based on performances of past rookies. Spoiled with Kelvin Benjamin, spoiled with Luke Kuechly, spoiled with Cam Newton. I mean, our first-round pick spoiled with Star Lotulelei and K1 Shore.
Yeah. So
we've been a little spoiled when it comes to who our rookies are. But here's another thing I think that this shows. And by the way, I've got this idea cooking. I just got to find time to lay it all out. And it's about the architecture or the plan that Dave Gettleman has put into place. And those rookies had a lot of opportunity to succeed because they got a ton of playing time because there's nobody ahead of them. But I think what we're starting to see right now is the Shaq Thompson pick really tells us this, I think. And that is that we are looking to build a real long-term model where we're just rotating dudes up. And we can go back to all the Dave Gettleman quotes that were so good in the past that we have not heard lately because we're doing so good. And that is, we're building for the long term. We're not one player away. We can't be afraid to let one big dog walk every now and then. And you're going to have dudes in the hole. And what I see Carolina doing is building for long-term dominance, built on around Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly. Good luck. Mm-hmm. Good luck. I think something really special is happening. And this is the other thing that I think, Joey, that comes down to this, is that what you're doing is you always want to have a good chance to make it in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
You want to get, and I think when you have the structure and the architecture to this, that you're just in there every year, and every now and then it hits, and you're there.
Yeah. Like
instead of saying this is our year. That's right. Louie Tee, I can't see you. Can you hear me? I can't hear him.
He must still be joining in. Perhaps.
Joining. It's slow in joining. So we'll keep going while Louie Tee is trying to get in. Joe, what we need to, I guess, continue to talk about now is what do you want to talk about? I feel like we could talk about the Cam Newton dabbing on him. We could talk. What do you want to talk about?
I think, just something I was impressed by. I was impressed by the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota is going to be, I think he's got some real potential. He is a Hawaiian version of Cam Newton, it seems.
A little smaller.
Yeah, much smaller. And but very nimble, pretty accurate too. That's what was most surprising to me, was how accurate he was. And their defense is sneaky good. You know, their defense has some players.
They just said that they lost our podcast. Just Jones said she lost our podcast.
No way.
I think we're still rocking and rolling. Almost I'm going to hit record on the dang. I'm about to record the audio just in case something bad happens, so we can get it up. So, Joey, I want to talk about the Cam Newton dance. Right now, he has been pigeonholed. Oh, good. Missy says we're still locked and loaded. Or I don't know. What do you think about this dance? So he goes and does a celebratory dance now that has an extra step in it.
Yes.
And did it upset you?
No.
Okay. You know what? It upset me. I got fired up. I was pissed.
You were mad because of the dance, or because people came to interrupt him while he was dancing?
I got mad because he didn't finish it with the super cam. I needed an extra step. I thought it was incomplete. And Cam usually gets the thing rolling, and he usually comes up with that late. Now, some Jackie steps in, and he has a problem with Cam Newton celebrating. So what was his problem, Joey?
His problem was his child watching Cam Newton celebrate when he thinks they should be examples and role models and show good sportsmanship, as opposed to the one-upsmanship, if you will. I will say this. First of all, let me tell you that as a parent, you are your children's role model. Cam Newton is on TV. He's a football player that makes a lot of money. He is a grown man and can do whatever he wants. Your child should look up to you as a parent and want to be like you as a person. If if your child is looking up to Cam and at Cam as a role model, then maybe you need to redirect your child's attention. However, I do understand by being a superstar in sports, Cam Newton does draw a lot of attention. Not every child has the audacity, no, that's not the right word, is not confident enough to pull the moves that Cam does. And yes, Cam is a bit, some people would say arrogant or cocky. I say extreme confidence. So when he does the dance and that makes him excited, that gets him hyped up, that gets him ready to play, to keep playing. It'd be one thing if none of the Titans didn't do anything when they sacked him. There was dancing going on and some gesticulating going on when Cam
gesticulating. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, I want to interrupt you here and welcome our guest, Louie Tee. Louie, can you give us a shout out and let's hear your audio? We can't hear you. Oh, no! Damn it! All right, Joey, keep gesticulating while we figure this out.
So anyway, I just think no. I think that it was not right for that person to say that about Cam Newton because, in end all be all, you're supposed to be the role model for your children. Don't blame it on Cam. That's how I feel anyway.
Okay, so with Cam Newton, this is what I gotta say: is man, fuck all y'all. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
No,
I didn't mean to say it like that. You know, yeah, is Louie Tee try backing out and coming back in again? That's all. That's one thing that helps sometimes. So, or it helped Joey. So Cam Newton does this dance. Is it a little elongated? Maybe a hair, but not much. It's not that long. I went back and watched it. And watched it again. I even broke out the stopwatch. It was 7 seconds because some dude wrote this story that said it was 10 seconds. Now,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
It was 7 seconds long. It was 10 seconds if you count the dude getting in his face and then him doing the extra. Now, I don't got a problem with it. Is it a little showboaty? Sure, but that's what we pay to see. Cam Newton is excellent. I think they're pissed just because it was their house and we were dominating them, and our fans were in the end zone and they were pissed, and they're a bunch of sour grapes. But you know what? Suck it.
Cam said it best, man. Cam said, "Hey, if you don't want me to dance, keep me out of the end zone." And I'd say that's it. That's all needs to be said right there.
Do you worry, Joey, about retaliation though?
No, I don't worry about retaliation. He's got 10.
Oh, Lord. Now I froze up. I hope you work, Louie Tee, because Joey is out. Louie, say hello.
Hello?
Yeah! Joey is out and you are in. That's right. We've got a great guest. I'm super stoked. Louie Tee from the Louie Tee Network coming to represent his skins, but more excited am I is that your football knowledge is so expansive, dude. Again, I'm always crazy when I watch your show, man. Glad to have you on the C3 podcast.
I mean, I appreciate you having me, man. It's an honor to be here blessing the podcast today, man. Did
you film on television tonight?
I did, man. I just got back about 30 minutes ago from D.C. Doing a show called The Playbook with Free Gola that'll be airing on Saturday night. It's going to be local, so I'm going to post it to my YouTube channel like I did last time. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity and looking forward to getting that final copy and being able to post it so that everybody can view it.
Two things about it. First, her name's Gola, right?
Yes.
She's gorgeous.
Oh I told her you guys said that. She's
stunning. She's stunning. Number two, Louie Tee is one dapper Dan up in that mug. Good Lord, what did you rock? The 3-piece?
Yeah, I had a three-piece on. I took the jacket off though; it was a little warm. Then they turned the air up on me, but I said, it's all good. Yeah, I wore the three-piece last week. I just had on a different ensemble this week, so just trying
Looking
to,
sharp.
switch it up a little bit.
Looking sharp. Looking sharp. All right, so you jumped in, and we're talking about the Cam Newton dab on him celebration.
Yeah.
That was more so, I guess, the dab on him was with the first down, but then he has this great touchdown run that only Cam Newton could really do. To be honest, there's no other quarterback in the league that could make that touchdown. Louie Tee gets up, he celebrates, slightly long, maybe a hair. What'd you think about it and the fallout behind this?
Oh man, I found it hilarious, honestly. Wesley Woodyard was salty. I mean, you look up at the scoreboard, it's 27-10, waning moments of the game. You realize what's going on here. And so, I mean, if you look at the play, it's actually comical because Wesley Woodyard is literally 6 yards away from Cam Newton celebrating. And all of a sudden, he looks back and he sees Cam is still celebrating. He's like, you know what? I've had enough. So he just jump in there, and Cam's like, man, get out of here. He said, you know what? Take this with you. Get out of here. Take another one since you don't like it. So I found it comical, man. Look, when you're losing and you see where this is going, those type of emotions come out. I don't have a problem with Cam Newton celebrating. I love the extracurricular things that go on. When you score a touchdown, you don't want me to celebrate? You don't want me to dab on you? Don't let me score. How about that? Don't let me get in the end zone. You want to stop me from celebrating? Don't let me get a first down. So I don't have any problems with Cam Newton doing what he was doing. And you could argue, was it long? Yeah, maybe it was a little long. But again, you don't want me doing it? Stop me.
Right. And it's showbiz right now.
Yeah.
The NFL is the biggest game on earth. It's the biggest show each week on earth. And Cam Newton is doing what any good businessman would do. And it gets him hyped up. Here's something that I thought was interesting. This is Torrey Smith on the issue and who is active on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
A lady was talking junk. She wrote into the Charlotte Observer saying that this was bad role model for her kid, and her kid asked her about it. And Torrey Smith said, it's not that serious, number one. 2, no kid talks like that. And 3, she ain't ever seen Recess. So, I don't think this is a big deal either, but you got 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Now Cam in the headlines for tearing down the banner. Will Cam Newton come and snatch that banner down from behind you next?
It's quite possible. I'm actually I've got a couple of clips up here holding it up that I think he'll have a hard time getting off, but I'm ready. If he's ready to come, I'm ready to protect the helmet back here, man.
We've got a good question from you from one of our biggest friends of the show, at Legacy Lines. Lynn, she says this: Louie, what is the player and fan perception of Cam in DC?
I think that a lot of people here feel like he's the type of quarterback that is the future of the NFL. A lot of people thought that Kaepernick was going to be somewhat like Cam Newton. And I think if you look at college football and the way the game is played now, Cam Newton is what everyone wants their quarterback to be, strives for their quarterback to be, coming from the collegiate level, because of all the players that have tried to come to the league and do what he's done, many have tried, few have actually succeeded. He's probably been the best at it. You're not going to see another guy that's 6'5", 240 pounds, runs
like the wind.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, this guy has the full complement of talent. I mean, just the full spectrum. He can do it all. And the one thing I would like to see him improve upon is his footwork, because I think that leads to his inaccurate throws. A lot of his balls sail on him, and his mechanics aren't the greatest. We all know that. I mean, last week I talked about the throw to Greg Olsen in the end zone. It was literally off his back foot, and half the time when he throws the football, he doesn't even step into his throws. But because he has a rocket for a right arm, it gets where it's going, and it usually gets there, when it needs to. So, I mean, the fans here would love to have a guy like that at the quarterback position for the Redskins. We're not complaining, though. We like the guy that we have right now, and he's starting to grow in the position. But Cam Newton, to me, is the prototypical quarterback. It, to me, is the next generation quarterback. If the guys in college football come into the league doing the things that they did in college, you want your guy to be Cam Newton in 4 years.
Let me interrupt here, Louie. I'm Joey. I'm also known as a freaking Puerto Rican. I want to say two things I want to say. A couple of years ago, I dare say longer than that, probably close to 8 years ago, I was talking with a guy. I was at work. A guy came in. We happened to get on the subject of football. He started talking about football and how I asked him what kind of offense he ran, and he said a spread. He said everybody was going to this, that this is where high schools were going, so we'll start to see it creep into college and then eventually into the pros.
Right.
I didn't believe him. But lo and behold, it is exactly what has happened. You've gone from this traditional I or pro set in the backfield to the spread offense where you got speed and skill players all over the field. You guys, and Cam is the epitome of the quarterback for that style of offense. You guys had someone, or have someone, who was supposed to be one of the great quarterbacks sitting on your bench. I want to ask you what you think of RG3, and will he be there at the end of this season, or I guess start of next season? And if not, where will he go? Will he leave football, or do you see him being a good fit somewhere else?
To answer your first question, then, how you doing, Joe?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. To answer your first question, I think the world of Robert Griffin III. I love him as a person, even though he can rub people the wrong way. Is he arrogant? Sure, but I mean, at this level, when you get to the NFL, you have to have a level of arrogance, or else you won't make it. Okay, so let's get that straight right here. I mean, you saw J.J. Watt last night after the game talking trash to Andy Dalton. That's what guys have in them. So, Robert Griffin III is a good guy. I think that football, I think he had too many people in his ear. That was his biggest downfall here in Washington. No, he will not be here after this season. Is he going to remain in the league? Yes. I think he'll find work elsewhere. And it's up to him. He's got to decide how important football is to him. You can talk the talk, but when it comes down to it, are you willing to make some of the sacrifices necessary to do what it is that you need to do to remain in this league and become a really good football player? We'll see if he has what it takes mentally to overcome some of the hurdles that have tripped him up early in his career. But he started listening to people tell him things that, really got him off track. And mainly I'm talking about his dad, Robert Griffin Sr., was in his ear telling him, hey, running quarterbacks, scrambling quarterbacks don't win in this league. And to me, it was a black quarterback complex, because a lot of times when you see black quarterbacks, they're running around, and his dad didn't want him to be another one of those guys. So he wanted him to, and he kept saying this over and over at his press conferences. He wants to be like Aaron Rodgers. He wants to be like Tom Brady. He wants to be like Peyton Manning. Well, those guys have been in pro-style offenses their entire lives. And this goes back to high school, which he was not. And he's a track guy. So even if we wanted him, and this is the thing, he didn't want to play the style of football. The read option 50 series is what they call it up here in D.C., the 50 series. He didn't want to run that anymore. He didn't want to run the read option. He didn't want to do those things any longer. And so he wanted to be a pocket passer. He wanted to be a drop back passer. Well, he wasn't ready for that yet. And Jay Gruden was brought in to fix him and to get him ready to do that. And he just wasn't putting in the work, the time necessary. And he wasn't making the necessary adjustments to his game to be able to do that on a consistent basis. He's not processing defenses fast enough. There's a lot of things that he has to work on. But at the end of the day, his body isn't built. If you've watched him over the life of his career, he gets injured a lot. Okay,
by the field,
built to take on that type of offense. Like Cam Newton, he's built like a stallion. Colin Kaepernick, built to really take on the rigors of the National Football League if you're going to run that type of offense. Right. Robert Griffin III is a track guy. His body is a track frame, and so he gets injured a lot.
Right, and I think that is the biggest thing, is that he is, fragile is not the right word, but he is slight of build, so he can't take on 250-pound linebackers regularly.
Right.
He is fast enough to run that type of offense, but it's the contact where there's a problem. Yeah. So if he can't run, as you said, the 50 series,
he won't. He can run it. He won't run it.
He won't run it.
Right.
Okay. And he's not willing to put in the effort to become a drop back pocket passer. Is he going to have to change positions?
No, he's not going to change positions, and he's been working really hard since he's been benched, and things haven't been, the way that they were. He's been putting in extra work with the receivers after practice. I mean, he's doing all the right things, and so I think he can be successful. It's just going to take the right coach, the right coaching staff, patience, which is something that he really didn't have a lot of here because of the circumstances. When you keep changing head coaches, when you keep changing philosophies, those things really mess with the fabric of a quarterback and their development. So, I mean, there were a number of circumstances as to why he didn't succeed here in Washington, but he is definitely at fault as well. I'm not absolving him of wrongdoing here, but there are a number of circumstances.
Oh, it's so clear.
I didn't realize it was quite so complicated. I didn't realize, it was that. I thought it was much more simple.
I mean, there's so many different layers to the Robert Griffin III story here. I mean, I could peel those things back and have you here for 3 hours, man. It's
Let's talk about the Redskins, because I agree, as I think that these are organizational problems.
Yeah.
If anything, and we all see it. We all see what is going on, where they just can't be happy with anything. There's no patience. There's no plan. There's no. And maybe I'm being too hard on it, but
no. I mean, most Redskins fans would agree with you, and I think that's been my biggest gripe, is that, look, we got a general manager now that is actually a football guy. Okay, so you've gotten the first part of the equation right, and he went out and had a really good draft last year. Guys are contributing to the team this year. So now the question is, are you going to stay the course? Are you going to stay with the plan that's in place now? Are you going to blow everything up? And I think these final 7 games of the season are going to be huge for the Redskins, because if Jay Gruden and Kirk Cousins perform well down the stretch, I think both of those guys not only will be back, but I think we might find our head coach and quarterback for years to come potentially. If this thing goes south and Kirk Cousins doesn't perform well over the final 7 games and Jay Gruden loses a handle on his team, even though he was given a 5-year contract and he's in year 2 of that contract, he might be fired. So
yeah, that's never stopped them before, has it?
Right. No, it hasn't, and that's the problem. Yeah.
So tell us about this Redskins team. It's hard to figure them out. It's hard to figure out the NFC East entirely. Right. Sometimes I feel like the Redskins are the leader in that division, and then the next week they come out flat. They have problems. What's your general sense of this team and where they're at right now?
Well, it's a week-to-week league, and I don't think any division personifies that more than the NFC East. I mean, one week you think, okay, Philly's about to take off, and then they do what they did last week against the Dolphins, and Sam Bradford gets hurt, and you're like, okay, they took a monumental step back. And you say, okay, well, let the Giants run away with this thing. They got a golden opportunity to beat the Patriots, and their safety can't catch the football. And so they lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the Redskins, you say, wow, they won by 33 points. Why not the Redskins? And it's so complicated, but I'll say this much. We got a couple of things on our side moving forward, and I think they feel really confident about the Week 11 matchup versus the Panthers. We've played a lot of tough defenses this season, and I think that was part of the reason why we were able to carve up the Saints with ease is because, the Saints are really bad defensively.
Terrible.
But
Awful.
Yeah. B, we've seen so many good defenses this year. I mean, if I ran off the list of defenses that we've seen, we were prepared to take on a team like the Saints. So I think Kirk Cousins and the offense is gaining confidence. They're gaining steam. And the beauty of everything with the Redskins right now is for the first time all season long, we're healthy. We haven't been healthy all year long. Last week was the first time that Jay Gruden and the Redskins staff had all 53 guys able to practice in a practice all season long.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
All
amazing at this time.
season long. So we're starting to get healthy at the right time. If we're going to make a run, now's the time. And regardless of what happens in this game versus the Panthers, it's a huge matchup in week number 12 versus the Giants, which could potentially be for first place in the division, whether we win this game or not. So all I asked the fellas to do before the season started was, hey, get me to November playing meaningful football. The last couple of seasons, we haven't been able to say that. We were done literally as the calendar turned from October to November. We were done. Season was over with. There was no hope. So they got me to November. We could even be playing December football that's meaningful. Hey, how about that? Let's go have a season.
I know. We got I want to know about your offensive line. It's been a problem for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're getting better.
Yeah.
What's going on with Morgan?
Yeah.
I can't ever say. I always flip
it's
it.
Morgan Moses. Yeah.
Morgan Moses, the sheriff, Shreve.
Yep.
How is the line coming together?
They're doing it the right way in Washington. I think right now that's the one position that has to give every Redskin fan hope for the future, because if you're going off the Dallas Cowboys model of building from within with the offensive line, and we took their offensive line coach from them, and Bill Callahan, and brought him to Washington, and this offensive line has taken huge steps in the right direction. I'm talking light years ahead of where they were last year. I mean, Morgan Moses is playing on par with the best right tackles in the league. I mean, you could literally.
Was he at the wrong position last year? Was he at the wrong position?
Well, he was injured last year. They drafted him to be I think all along the plan was to make him a right tackle.
Okay.
But Trent Williams was dealing with injuries, so they put him at left tackle, which is what he was at Virginia when we drafted him. But I think the plan all along, because you got Trent Williams, you're not moving Trent Williams. So I think the plan all along was to make him a right tackle, and he got hurt last year at the end of the season, so they weren't really able to go full bore with that experiment. But he's at right tackle. You got Brandon Sheriff at right guard. So you got a young nucleus on the right side, and they're starting to gel together. Via injury, we got a new right guard in Spencer Long, a second-year player that we drafted in the third or fourth round last year. So he's a young guy. You got Trent Williams, which is our rock, all-pro left tackle. And so all we're missing now is a center. Okay, our starting center, Corey Lichtensteiger, has been injured. He's been back at practice, but he still probably isn't going to play. Not too sure about him playing for. And as a matter of fact, they actually put him on IR for the remainder of the season, so he's done for the year. So center to me is the biggest part that we have to fix on the offensive line. If we can get that done, this offensive line could be good for years to come in DC.
And that line has really led to a super effective running game. You guys, I believe, are among the league leaders in rushing yards per game. I want to talk about your backs and what you think of the two-back combo that you have.
Three, almost.
Three backs.
Yeah. Well, our running game came out of the gates like gangbusters.
Yes, it
Miami and St. Louis. We thought that was going to be what we were going to be all season long. I mean, we thought we were going to be able to hang our hat on running. And then after that game, our right guard, Sean Laval, went down in the Giants game in week 3, and the running game went kaput. And I'm not saying it was because he got injured. It just seemed to coincide with his injury. Either way, for the next 4 weeks of the season, we could not run the football at all, literally the next 5 weeks. And we actually set NFL records in futility for the least amount of rushing yards in a 5-week span. And we didn't cross 51 yards. The highest total we had was 51 yards in a 5-week span.
Wow.
I'm giving you a crazy stat. In that 5-week span of football, we were outgained 742 to 168 yards. Right? I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So we needed New Orleans to show up last week. We needed them to show up and give us confidence. And we rushed for over 200 yards last week against the Saints. So hopefully Matt Jones, Alfred Morris, and Chris Thompson, and that's the third back that Tony was alluding to, can continue to run the football effectively. I wouldn't hold my breath against that Carolina Panthers front. I think where the Redskins can have an opportunity to exploit the Panthers is going to be in the short passing game, which is what Kirk Cousins excels at. I'm just going to give Kirk the same advice I gave him on the show that I did today. Stay away from 24. If you stay away from Jay Nutso, we'll be fine. If you're going to take shots at him, make sure they're calculated and make sure it's to Deshaun Jackson deep. But other than that, I wouldn't go near him. I would go after Bené Ben-Wickery. I would go after Peanut Tillman. And I would take my chances with Kurt Coleman and the old man at safety and go with that and see if we can have some success there. Jordan Reed, no one can cover him in the league at the tight end position. So that's a matchup that I know we should be able to win. The question I have is, are we tough enough? I want to see how tough we are this week because the Panthers they hit the Titans in the mouth last week. They were physical last week. They're physical all the time. How physical are we going to be able to be? We haven't been good on the road all season long, and so we haven't won a game on the road all year long. How good can this team perform on the road? I think they're gaining confidence. We'll see if it translates on Sunday.
I think you have a sneaky good defense, too. And
let's talk about that. I want to ask this, Joey, about that defense. Is that we come out here, the season starts, and all we see is we see the first 2 weeks, I believe, they shut down the run. And all of a sudden, this narrative that the Redskins are great against the run emerges. Is it really true?
No, it's not. We are terrible against the run. And last week, again, everything came into effect last week in terms of coming into place and starting to, fit pieces of the puzzle together. Again, the Saints was exactly what the doctor ordered for us. Like, it was funny because I listened to one of their beat writers on one of the Redskin programs, and he said, look, whatever you don't do well, you're going to do it well against the Saints. And he couldn't have been more right. And one of the things we don't do well is we don't stop the run well. Mark Ingram bust off a 70-yard run last week. It's what we've done over the last 2 months of the season, give up runs in the run game. And I don't see why the Panthers can't run the football effectively on us. Cam Newton scares the hell out of me. We haven't beat Cam Newton in his career. We're 0-2 versus him. And it's because we don't have enough team speed to contain him and keep him in the pocket. So I worry about us defensively in this game. I honestly don't worry about us offensively in this game. If we're going to win this game, it's going to be on the offensive side of football. Now, I will say this. We're healthy, and I just said that, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but we're healthier defensively. And so the secondary for the first time, we've got all 3 of our corners.
Yeah,
we took our rookie that was playing in the slot, moved him out to safety, which is his natural position. So we're looking for dividends there to be paid off at the safety position. We're starting to play better up front, but nothing's guaranteed. And this is the thing. If we can tackle better, we'll be better against the run. That 70-yard run that Mark Ingram had, if Deshaun Golson comes up, makes a form tackle, it's a 2-yard gain on the first down. Instead, he comes in, doesn't wrap up, throws the shoulder. Ingram runs through the tackle, and it's 70 yards. So They've been talking
Isn't
all
that
year long about
infuriating?
fits.
I find it infuriating when NFL players tackle sloppy like that.
Yeah.
Where they
He didn't even try to lop up. That was the part
Right.
that really made me.
Nope. He was just trying to knock him out, probably.
Yeah, trying
Like
to come
his
in with his
style.
shoulder. Yep.
Want to get on Sports Center.
I want to ask you about you said Jordan Reed. Nobody can stop him.
Yeah.
Tell us about his game.
Oh man. To me, if you ask me, as a pass catcher, Gronkowski to me is the best tight end in the league catching the football because of his sheer girth, his size. It's just hard to stop him. He's not going to wow you athletically as Rob Gronkowski, but he just does everything well, and he's a complete tight end. Jordan Reed's still working on blocking. Okay, he's not the greatest blocker in the world, so at the point of attack, he's not going to be the greatest. But as a pass catcher, I don't think there's any other tight ends in the league that can match what this guy can do at the tight end position. He's so silky smooth, in and out of breaks. He's quick. He used to be a quarterback at Florida, believe it or not. So his skill set is just so unique. And his ability to run these short to intermediate routes and get free and create separation is uncanny. And like I said, you go ask anybody around the league, who's the best tight end at creating separation and winning at the top of a route? And I guarantee you they won't run off many names before they get to Jordan Reed. And I challenge you to find 2 or 3 other tight ends that can do it better than him in this league.
How do the
We have a
Panthers?
pretty good one.
Yeah,
You
we
do.
do.
You got a great tight
But
end.
he's slow as can be.
He is.
Yeah,
how
a
do
hell of
we-
a one-hand catch this week.
Gosh,
That was
he's
a
amazing.
great
He's
pass.
got great hands. He's got great hands. Look, Olsen runs beautiful routes.
Mhm.
He's slow as dirt, seems like, and he's still always open. He always catches the ball. He always sticks up for his quarterback. But my man can't break a tackle to save his life. Oh, my Lord.
He's like Jason Witten to me. Like, I always ask myself, how the hell is Jason Witten getting open? He's slow as molasses. You know, no one's falling for any of his head moves or fakes, but he's a crafty veteran. And the same thing I say about Greg O, man. Greg O knows how to get open, and whether it's giving the defender a little shoulder at the top of the route and
Right.
pushing off ever so slightly to create separation, whatever he's got to do, he does it and he gets open. The thing that kills me with teams is a guy like Greg Olsen. I come into a game, if I'm playing the Panthers and I say, we're stopping 82. He's not going to beat us. How is it that this guy's running free through your secondary? That blows my mind. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Every
the Titans let him go every week. I want to ask you, stick on Reed for a moment. How do the Panthers compensate for a talent like that? What can we do? Is it Shaq Thompson?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what you do if you want to try to take him, and I still don't know if you have a guy that can take him up, but you've got athletic linebackers, whether it's Thomas Davis or it's Shaq Thompson. You stick a guy on him that's extremely athletic, and you try. The best way to combat Jordan Reed is to get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a guy that I'm not saying he's a finesse player, but no tight end wants hands laid on them at the line of scrimmage. If you can redirect his route and get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage, I think you can have success against Jordan Reed in that manner. But if you let him get a free release, and the Redskins do a really good job of moving him around so that you can't just get an easy jam off of him. They send him in motion. They split him out wide. They move this guy around because he's a chess piece, and he wins one-on-one matchups, and they understand that. So you're definitely going to see him move around. They're going to put if I were the Panthers, I would put one of my athletic linebackers on him and try my hand at that.
That's Shaq Thompson for our boy Soren in Denmark listening to the show. Shaq Thompson, that's the guy that we drafted for these scenarios. Joey, what's your main issue thinking about the Redskins that you want to ask Louie Tee before we go on and get out of here? Because we got to do ice-up picks still. And we got some so what are you last points on the Redskins?
I guess really is my concern is how does the quarterback handle pressure? What's his pocket sense, presence like?
Well, and that's a great question, actually. Kirk Cousins has done really well with pressure this season. His biggest issue is when the play breaks down. So if there's good coverage and his first read isn't open, his second read isn't open, his third read isn't open, there's no check down on the play, per se, and he has to get out of the pocket, that's when he struggles. That's when mistakes happen. If he's allowed to survey the field and make a play from the pocket, he's going to make the right decision. Now, is he going to be off? Is the throw going to be errant? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, on the road, he plays vastly different on the road than he does at home. At home, he's lights out. On the road, he tends to be a little errant. So we'll see if he can be consistent this week. But if the offensive line has been so good in pass pro, and he's done such a great job of getting the football out of his hands so quickly that pressure really hasn't been an issue for the Redskins. We've only surrendered 10 sacks this season, and that's with the 2 that the Saints got last week.
That's impressive.
He hasn't been sacked very much. The offensive line has done a great job of protecting him, and he's done an even better job of just getting rid of the football quickly.
So his answer, Joey, is that Kirk Cousins has not got any jazz improvisation inside of him. None. Not a jazz musician. All right. I want you to stick around, Louie, for Ice Up picks of the week if you can.
Yep.
But we also, let's go around and talk. Let's pick the score of the game tonight. Joey, I mean, who is coming out of this? Is this a trap game? Is this? What do you think? The Panthers roll to 10-0?
Well, I think Ron Rivera and the veterans have done a fantastic job of keeping this team focused on a week-to-week basis. You don't see them talking about or thinking about what's ahead on the schedule. They are focused on what is coming up that particular week. So I think last week the Titans were as close to a trap game as there could have possibly been, but the Panthers managed to play their way through it. So I don't think they're seeing the Redskins as a trap game. I think they're prepared for them. They know what they have to do to pull off the win. It does help that we're at home, we being the Panthers. And I think the score is going to be somewhere along the lines of 24-13, maybe 24-14, something like that. Panthers.
Louie, the Cincinnati Bengals fell last night and at home in what I consider could very well have been a trap game. And I don't even know if I like that term, to be honest, the trap game. But Houston, they had all the stuff last night to beat the Texans, and they didn't. Tyler Eifert drops the ball repeatedly. They just didn't look sharp. What do you think about what's going to come out of this Carolina Panthers game, the Redskins, given what we were just talking about with the Bengals?
I don't see this being a trap game because any trap that could have been set was blown up by the Redskins scoring 47 last week. I mean, had the Redskins gone out and lost to the Saints last week, or had that been a close ball game, maybe there's a trap. But when you score 47 points, you put teams on notice. So the Panthers saw that. Ron Rivera told them they scored 47 points last week. Forget about their record. They scored 47 points last week. So there's no way the Panthers are sleeping on the Redskins. I think there are a couple of things that the Redskins have going for them in this game, and one being they've done this before. Just 2 weeks ago, we went on the road against an undefeated Patriots team, and we laid an egg. The message that week was be perfect. You got to be perfect. I think Jay Gruden understands the problem with that message. Guys were uptight, a lot of drop passes. We were never in that ball game because everybody was trying to be perfect. So I think the message is going to be vastly different this week. Yes, it's an undefeated Carolina Panthers team. Yes, they're really good. Yes, they're great on defense. But let's go out and just play football. Let's have fun. Let's go out and see if we can't go on the road and steal one. So I think the message will be different. But that being said, Cam Newton is a nightmare for us. It's not a good matchup for us. We've struggled with Cam Newton. We lost to him as a rookie. We lost to him the very next year. And that 2012 game still sticks out like a sore thumb. He just is a problem for us. And I just don't see us stopping Jonathan Stewart consistently enough, even though I want to believe that the run defense is going to be better after last week. I want to believe that the defense as a whole is going to be better. That was New Orleans. They gave up in that game. We took their heart and they quit. I don't know if we can do the same things that we did last week and have the same amount of success. We still gave up a 60-yard touchdown pass, which the Panthers have been going up top this year. We gave up a 70-yard run. I'm not convinced that this defense is fixed. We're going to score some points in this game, though. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people will give us credit for. I think it's going to be 26-20 Panthers still win the game.
Okay, nice breakdown. I'm going to go 31-20 Panthers.
Okay,
and,
that sounds about right.
I think the Carolina Panthers offense has played much better than anybody expected.
Yeah.
The defense is pretty good. It's been good, but our pass rush, there's some question marks with it and how sustainable it is without Charles Johnson and with the old man Jaron Allen.
Right.
So there's, you never know, but I think Cam Newton keeps us in this, and it's going to be hard to stop him.
Yeah.
So that's my pick, and what we do, Louie, is we close out the show each week with our Ice Up Sun picks of the week, where we tell someone in the world, it can be anyone. We've iced up 9-year-old kids in Oklahoma before. Anybody is fair game for where you get to tell someone in the world to ice up, to get their mess together, to toughen up. And this is an old Steve Smith homage.
Yeah.
Participate. We'd love to have you. I'm going to let Joey go first tonight.
Okay.
And if you're interested, you can warm up while Joey's getting started.
All right.
Well, usually I have something written and prepared for this.
Don't be a
show.
Cousins. Improvise.
Right. So I'm really sad at what happened in Paris, France, earlier this week, or at the end of last week, actually. It's sad that we live in a world where people can't go and enjoy a concert or enjoy a nice dinner out without the threat of something crazy happening like it did. It's unfair to group all people of one religion into a category as radical or extreme. So we can't do that, and shame on those of you who do that. But we do live in this world, so we are forced to protect ourselves. And the French government, because of their laws, do a very poor job of allowing their people to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And the police, they do the best they can, but most of the time when the police are involved, it's after an altercation or after something has happened. So I am forced to ice up the French government for not allowing the people of France to be able to defend themselves. They're forced by the government to rely on the government to defend them. And when you rely on the government to defend you and those you care for, this sort of thing, you become vulnerable to this sort of thing. So I must ice up the French government for that reason. And at the same time, I do want to say my heart goes out to those victims and the victims' families who were involved in the unfortunate incident last Friday. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to end it on that note, that my sympathy and my heart goes out to those families.
Yeah, I think we just can go ahead and say there's a blanket ice up from Panther Nation and from America and the world to people that want to be intolerant to the point of taking innocent people's lives. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't think it's an ideology that can win. And maybe I'm wrong on this, Joey. Maybe I'm naive, but I think those ideas where you try to terrorize whatever that is, whatever the goal was, I think that we see from the solidarity of the world in reaction to this, that those ideas that the attackers had, they're built on quicksand. Mm-hmm. My man Jesus Christ said, build your house on a rock. And those ideas are not on a rock. So,
no, and by great point, Tony. And I just want to say that by terrorizing those individuals and trying to break apart the world as a community, it only helps to reinforce and make those bonds between countries stronger. So really, they're doing the opposite of what they were hoping to do.
Well, I gotta say that was a weighty and heavy ice up. Louie, our ice ups are not usually that serious.
I said, whoa! I don't know if I need to ice anybody up after that.
Oh no, mine is going hardcore after a soccer mom in Tennessee. Right there, don't you worry, is there soccer moms around the world are about to get messed up here in a moment. Would you like to go, Louie?
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to follow that one now. But I want to ice up the Cincinnati Bengals for laying that egg yesterday, man. That was pathetic. And it's crazy because I talk to Cincinnati Bengal fans all the time, and they demand respect. You know, people don't respect.
We know that. We know that feeling.
Yeah, I know you. You can relate. You guys can relate. So they demand respect. We are 8-0. You will respect us. We're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Andy Dalton's going to show you guys. And you go and do that on Monday Night Football versus a Texans team that was 3-5 and struggling. I mean, they were asking Bill O'Brien, hey, man, are you going to take, one of these college jobs? And he's like, no, I'm not going to Maryland or wherever. So to go out and do what they did, and I'm not saying that that's going to alter their season dramatically and they're going to fall, apart at the seams, but to do what they did and allow the Texans with T.J. Yates at quarterback
the backup.
To let T.J. Yates, Tyler Jonathan Yates come in the game and blank. Unbelievable. Cincinnati Bengals, ice up, son.
Ice up, Bengals.
Ice up. And you know who they got to play next week, I think, also in a high-profile game is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. What a game.
That's going to be awesome.
It is going to be a good game. All right. So my ice up pick of the week, and boy, did I have a lot of selections this week from people that had trashed Cam. I went into my Twitter files from 6 months ago, and it wasn't that long ago. When we signed Cam Newton to the big deal, this NFL writer just went crazy about how we paid Cam, and me and him got in an argument, and I unfollowed him, and then I said, no, I'm not unfollowing you because I got to follow you for the moment I get to come back and tell you you're wrong. His name is Scott Kaczmar or something like that. Anyway, he was a prime candidate. I've won. Cam Newton won that for me, so you don't get the ice up. This week goes to one Rosemary Plorin of Nashville, Tennessee, who attended the football game with her 4th grade daughter. And she wrote a letter to the Charlotte Observer today that was posted on November 17th, so today. And she goes on to say that this was her child's first NFL experience. She was surprised about how many Panther fans were sitting around her. That doesn't happen much at 4th grade football games, she said. Oh, so you're trying to butter us up. You're trying to say that you live in this backwoods Tennessee town where you don't get a lot of action at your 4th grade. Who the hell goes to a 4th grade football game anyway? No, there's no action there.
What is a 4th grade football game? What is that?
Amen. What is that? Exactly. So she goes on to say this. She says that when Cam Newton did his dance, that he kind of violated this position of him being a role model, and that she said he did that he has these kind of responsibilities, but he was the arrogant struts and the in-your-face taunting of both the Titans players and the fans. We saw it all. she said. She goes on to say that her daughter recognized this and asked her questions such as, what does he say? Oh, I could tell she was thinking about it as we boarded our shuttle back to the car. I guess he doesn't have kids or a mom watching the game, she said. She also asked him about, it was something like, why is he doing this and all this? And she says all these things about Cam Newton's actions. And she said, I tried to redirect her attention to the cheerleaders and the mascot. So to you, Rosemary Florin, you basically just taught your daughter to be a hoe. Sorry. Because what you just emphasized as a guy celebrated as your boys were jawing, your boys were dancing, and our boys were dabbing on them folks. You showed that you got sour grapes and you were mad we took over your stadium. And then you told your daughter to look at those scantily dressed women making all sexual moves. Cam Newton's pelvic thrust is a sexual move? No, it wasn't. Your cheerleaders are out there looking like Daisy Dukes from Dukes of Hazzard. They might as well throw the Confederate flag on their asses because you suck, Rosemary Florin, and your daughter, just to let you know, should probably think about being a defensive player and keeping those kids out of the end zone in that 4th grade football game. To you, I say, ice up, son.
Ice up, Miss Florin.
All right, this is the C3 Podcast. We've had a fantastic show tonight. I'd like to thank Louie Tee. Please, Louie Tee, tell them where they can find your work, because it is not just Redskins oriented. This guy might be the hardest working man on the internet.
Thank you so much, Tony. And you can find me on the LouieTeeNetwork.com. You can also find me on the In the Lab Room podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. And, of course, you can find me on Twitter at In the Lab Room, and also my biggest platform, YouTube, the Louie Tee Network. So Louie Tee Network on YouTube.
It is amazing, folks. I tell every single person to go ahead and subscribe. Follow Louie Tee. I'm always so jealous of how do you have the time? Do you stay up all night?
Look, man, I don't know where I get the time from because I got kids, I work. It's everything, man. I mean, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it done. That's how I look at it.
We are cut from the same cloth, brother.
Yeah.
Joey, tell them where they can find you. Also, go ahead and tell them what they should go ahead and buy while they're out there.
Look, you can go to our website, CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and look for that T-shirt right there, along with some others. You can get your Cam Wows there for $5. The Cam Wow. If you haven't seen it, go to the site and check it out. You'll order one right away. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Rilano, a.k.a. the freaking Puerto Rican. And Louie, let me tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed having you on, and I so look forward to the next time you're going to be available and join us once again on the episode. It was a pure pleasure.
Hey, likewise, Joe, man. Great to be on with you guys, and I enjoy watching you. And I love you guys' zest for the Panthers and the game of football, man. Fans are the pulse of the game and the sport, and you guys do it, the best of anybody I've seen online. So,
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Guys, this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can check us out Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. But all of our work can be found on the website. Follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. While you're listening on iTunes, hit us up with a review. Hit us up with a thumbs up. Go subscribe to our boy, Louie Tee Network, and we will see you next week, 10 p.m.